Welcome back to the Deep Dives, everyone. This is where we dig into complex stuff and pull out the practical knowledge you can actually use. Today, our mission is pretty specific, quite laser-focused, actually. We are looking at the language tools you need for the absolute top tier of English proficiency.
Right.
We're talking about those C2 level idioms and phrases, specifically the ones that can help you nail an IELTS Band 9.
Yeah, and this is a really critical area. So many people get stuck, around Band 7 or 8. They've got good grammar, clear ideas.
Sure, they communicate effectively.
Exactly. But that jump, that final leap to Band 9, it demands something more. It needs real sophistication.
Okay.
Examiners, you see, they're not just ticking boxes for correctness. They're really scrutinizing your lexical resource score.
That's the vocabulary measure, right?
Precisely. It covers your range of words, how accurately you use them, and crucially, whether you use natural idiomatic language. We're talking about these C2 expressions that, well, they just lift your English.
So it makes you sound less like a textbook and more
like a native, well-educated speaker, someone who uses language with nuance and flair.
Got it. So these phrases are kind of like powerful shortcuts then. Instead of using maybe 5 simple words to explain, say, a tricky consequence, you just drop in one vivid idiom.
That's a great way to put it. They're efficient and impactful. And we've actually gone through a whole load of these C2 phrases and categorized them because, as we'll see, context is absolutely everything here.
Okay, how are we breaking them down?
We've divided them into 3 main areas of use. First, academic and formal language, thanks writing task 2, speaking part 3.
Wait, the serious stuff.
Exactly. Then conversational language, more for speaking part 1 fluency and also recognizing them in the listening test. And finally, data description language. This is all about precision for writing task 1, describing those charts and graphs.
So it's not just knowing the idiom, but knowing exactly when and how to use it.
Absolutely critical. I mean, using an idiom in the wrong place, say, throwing some really casual slang into your formal essay, that's actually worse than just using simple, correct English.
Why is that?
Because it shows you don't understand register. You don't have control over the formality of your language. And that's a big red flag for the examiner. It'll definitely cost you points.
Okay, so surgical precision is the goal.
That's it.
Okay, let's unpack this. Where should we start? Maybe with the high-stakes stuff.
Makes sense. Let's begin with the language you need for writing task 2 and speaking part 3. The tone here needs to be spot on, formal, neutral, precise.
Right, so this section is all about showing you can handle complexity, build arguments. The topics in IELTS, they're rarely straightforward, are they? Usually involve trade-offs, problems.
There are lots of difficult choices, consequences. So let's kick off with some idioms that are perfect for describing and evaluating problems.
Right.
First up.
A bitter pill to swallow.
I think I know this one. Something unpleasant you just have to accept. Exactly, an unpleasant truth or really difficult, unavoidable situation. And the beauty of using this, you see, is that it's metaphorical. It moves you away from just saying it's hard to accept or something literal like that. And using figurative language like this, that immediately ticks boxes for the lexical resource criteria at the higher bands.
And I can see how useful that would be maybe in an essay conclusion. Or if you're presenting a counter-argument.
Absolutely. Let's say you're arguing for some government policy that's necessary but unpopular, like, I don't know, raising taxes.
Okay.
You could write something like, while raising taxes is undeniably a bitter pill to swallow for many citizens, the long-term investment in public services justifies the immediate difficulty.
Right. It shows you see both sides, that you're thinking critically and acknowledging the downside.
Precisely. You acknowledge the pain point, as it were, without weakening your main argument. It shows balance.
Okay, what's next for problem description?
How about linking a past crisis or event to a needed change? For that, a wake-up call is perfect.
Right, like something shocking happened, and now people realize there's a problem.
Exactly. It implies the event was so severe or surprising that it forced everyone to pay attention, alerted them to an issue that needs urgent action, maybe policy changes.
Yeah, you hear that kind of language in discussions about, say, environmental disasters or maybe public health issues in speaking part 3.
Instead of just saying, oh, the government finally noticed, you can say something more sophisticated like, the recent series of extreme weather events served as a stark wake-up call regarding the accelerating impacts of climate change.
That definitely sounds more impactful. It gives weight to the event and sort of justifies whatever comes next.
It does. Now, what about situations where you're faced with 2 really bad options? Complex dilemmas.
Like you have to choose but both choices have serious negative consequences.
Exactly. For that, the idiom caught between a rock and a hard place is very vivid.
Okay, caught between a rock and a hard place. It paints a picture, certainly. Is it maybe a bit too informal for writing?
That's a great question. You're right to be cautious. In writing task 2, you might want to stick to something a bit more clinical, perhaps like facing a profound dilemma or a zero-sum situation.
Okay.
However, in speaking part 3, which is more of a dynamic conversation, this metaphor actually works really well
Why is that?
because it's universally understood, and it instantly signals to the examiner that you grasp the sheer difficulty, the mutual exclusivity of the choices. Think about, say, developing countries needing economic growth but also needing to protect the environment. They're often caught between a rock and a hard place.
Got it. So powerful in speaking, maybe used with caution in formal writing.
Precisely. Know your context. Hashtag 1.2 idioms for argumentation and analysis.
Okay, let's shift to how we actually structure arguments and analysis. We need phrases that signal deeper thinking, right? Not just accepting things immediately.
Exactly. A common trap is jumping to conclusions based on surface information. And that brings us to the phrase, at face value.
Meaning, like taking something as it appears without digging deeper.
That's it. This is so important for both your own analytical writing and for understanding certain reading questions. Sometimes a question is designed to test if you can infer meaning, not just read the words at face value.
Right.
And in your writing, it's a fantastic tool to show critical distance. You could write, while the initial reports seem positive, we shouldn't take this data at face value until the long-term effects are fully understood.
Okay. It shows you're being cautious, looking beyond the obvious.
It signals analytical depth. Now, what about when you need to actively argue for something? We need to upgrade from simple verbs like support or argue that.
So what's a stronger, more formal option?
A really good one is the structure make a case for.
Make a case for.
Okay. It sounds much more formal and robust. It implies you're presenting a detailed, reasoned argument, not just stating a preference. You don't just support renewable energy, you make a compelling case for increased investment in solar power infrastructure.
And I guess you can modify that, like make a strong case or a clear case.
Absolutely. You can make a strong case, a persuasive case, a well-reasoned case. Very flexible and very effective for task 2.
Okay, great. And then after you've laid out all your careful arguments, you often need to sum things up, right? Especially in speaking part 3, maybe.
Yes, you need a clear transition to signal you're summarizing. And for that, in a nutshell, is quite common.
In a nutshell, isn't that a bit informal?
It is technically conversational, yes, but it's widely accepted as a standard way to signal a summary in the context of a spoken discussion like speaking part 3. It's like a signpost for the examiner.
So you could be discussing, say, the pros and cons of globalization.
And then you could say, so in a nutshell, the main challenge is balancing economic benefits with social equity. It's crisp and clear.
But definitely not for the conclusion of your task 2 essay.
Definitely not. Stick to more formal summary phrases in writing, like in conclusion, or to summarize. In a nutshell is for speaking. Hashtag 1.3, idioms for change, progress, and standards.
Right, let's inject some action now, discussing changes in society, technology, policy effectiveness. We need dynamic language.
We do, and drive change is a really strong verb phrase here, much more impactful than just saying cause change or lead to change.
Drive change.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds more active, more forceful.
It implies real leadership, being the engine behind a transformation. You can argue that universities should actively drive change in research priorities to address pressing global issues. It positions them as agents, not just reactors.
Nice. And what about when a new idea or trend starts becoming popular or successful, like it's starting to catch on?
For that, gain traction is perfect.
Gain traction, like a wheel gripping the road.
Exactly that kind of metaphor. It describes momentum, growing acceptance. Think about electric cars. You could say, initially met with skepticism, electric vehicle technology is now finally starting to gain traction among consumers.
Okay, so it shows that shift from being maybe a niche thing to becoming more mainstream.
Precisely. It conveys that progress concisely.
Now, for improvements, setting higher goals. maybe in recommendations.
Raise the bar is the idiom you want. It simply means increasing standards or expectations. Excellent for Task 2 recommendations.
So if you're writing about education,
You might suggest that educational authorities need to raise the bar for teacher training programs to enhance classroom quality. It's clear, concise, universally understood as meaning improvement.
I like that. And another one I really appreciate for its sort of historical or cultural resonance is stand the test of time.
Ah, yes, a great
For
one.
things that last, right? Like classic literature, enduring traditions, maybe fundamental principles.
Exactly. It means something remains valuable, relevant, important, despite years, decades, even centuries passing. You could discuss whether traditional art forms can stand the test of time in the modern digital age.
Okay, so if we connect this to the bigger picture,
Yeah.
you were saying these kinds of idioms signal something to the examiner.
Yes. Using phrases like drive change, gain traction, raise the bar, stand the test of time, it shows the examiner you're comfortable discussing abstract concepts.
Like cause and effect, progress, durability.
Exactly. Causality, permanence, momentum. You're moving beyond simple description into more sophisticated analysis, and these idioms are the building blocks for that. ### 1.4, contextualizing and relating ideas.
It's also important to show you can, zoom out, see the bigger picture, connect local issues to global ones.
Absolutely. Demonstrating that breadth of perspective is key for high bands, and put something into perspective is the perfect idiom for that.
How does that work in a sentence?
It shows you're moving beyond the immediate specifics. Say you're discussing a local environmental issue. You could conclude by saying, we need to put this local water shortage into perspective. It's a reflection of the wider global challenge of climate change impacting resources. Notice the structure puts something into perspective.
Got it. Connecting the micro to the macro. What about finding solutions, especially for inequalities? Social, economic, maybe the digital divide?
Bridge the gap is the classic solution-oriented phrase here. It means reducing the difference between two things or groups.
Bridge the gap.
And be careful with the structure. It's usually bridge the gap between X and Y. For instance, new government initiatives aim to bridge the gap between urban and rural healthcare access. It's formal, proactive.
Okay. And related to gaps, what about comparing rates of development, like technology or education standards in different countries?
Keep pace with is incredibly useful there.
Keep pace with, meaning stay at the same level or speed.
Exactly. You might analyze international trends and write something like, the manufacturing sector in this region is struggling to keep pace with the rapid automation seen in other developed economies. It neatly captures that idea of trying to match speed or progress.
Right. Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. You mentioned nuance earlier.
Yeah.
Precision at band 9 means really understanding the subtle differences between words that might seem similar. Let's look at set in stone versus out of the question. They both imply something is fixed or not possible, but are they different? Maybe add off the table too.
Oh, this is a fantastic point. Mastering these distinctions is pure C2 lexical control. They seem similar, but the nuances are important.
Okay, so set in stone.
Set in stone usually implies something is formally decided, fixed, difficult to change, but often not absolutely impossible to change eventually. Think of rules or plans. A deadline might be set in stone for now, but under extreme circumstances, maybe it could be moved.
Okay, so firm, but maybe not forever. Example.
The project timeline isn't set in stone yet. There might be room for adjustments. It suggests formalization, but potential flexibility.
Right, now, out of the question.
That's much stronger. It means impossible, not feasible, not even worth considering right now. It's a definitive no.
Like, completely rejected.
Pretty much. If a proposed policy is just too expensive or politically toxic, you'd say, given the current budget deficit, a universal basic income is completely out of the question. It shuts the idea down.
Okay, very clear no. And off the table.
This one is more common in negotiations or diplomatic contexts. It means an option or proposal has been explicitly withdrawn from discussion or consideration, maybe temporarily, maybe permanently. It's about removing something from the agenda.
Ah, so it's about the discussion itself.
Exactly. So you have this sort of gradient, set in stone, formally fixed, hard to change, off the table, withdrawn from the current debate. Out of the question, impossible or totally unacceptable.
Wow. Knowing this subtle difference really does boost precision, especially at a complex Part 3 discussion or Task 2 essay.
It absolutely does. It shows you command the language at a very fine-grained level.
And just before we move on for this formal section, let's quickly mention a few others from our list that are super useful, like bend over backwards.
Yes, meaning try extremely hard to help or accommodate someone. Great for discussing efforts in aid or customer service, perhaps.
Come full circle.
Returning to a starting point or an original state after a series of developments. Good for analyzing historical trends or cyclical processes.
On the brink of.
Meaning very close to something happening, often something significant or dangerous. On the brink of discovery. On the brink of collapse. Creates suspense.
And take the initiative.
Acting proactively, starting something without waiting to be told. Excellent for proposing solutions or recommending actions in Task 2.
Mastering these really builds that strong argumentative core, doesn't it?
It provides the essential toolkit for high-level formal communication in IELTS. Okay, let's completely shift gears now. We're moving away from that formal rigor and into the realm of natural fluency.
Right. This is more about sounding relaxed, genuine, especially in speaking Part 1, right? And also catching these phrases when you hear them.
Exactly. Recognizing them instantly in the listening module is crucial. That's often where candidates get tripped up. They hear an idiom and just miss the meaning.
Okay, so let's focus on everyday stuff. Effort, stress, understanding. What's a key one for listening?
Well, a simple but high-frequency one is all ears.
Meaning listening intently.
Yeah, fully listening, paying complete attention. If you hear a character in a dialogue say, okay, I'm all ears, you know instantly they're ready and focused. Vital for comprehension.
Makes sense. And for speaking Part 1, when they ask about hobbies or how you relax, you don't want to sound too formal.
Definitely not. Avoid saying things like, I engage in stress reduction activities. It sounds robotic.
So what's a natural alternative?
Use blow off steam.
Ah, okay. Like letting out pressure.
Exactly. You could say, after a long week at work, I like to go for a run to blow off steam. It sounds completely natural, conveys releasing stress or frustration.
Nice. What about in speaking Part 2, if you're telling a story, maybe about someone who helped you or an achievement?
Ooh, the extra mile is perfect for that.
Meaning do more than expected.
Yes, showing real dedication or helpfulness. My tutor really went the extra mile to help me prepare for the exam. It's high praise, delivered fluently.
Okay. In study habits, if they asked about studying in Part 1.
Again, avoid stiff descriptions. Instead of, I need to study intensively, use the common phrase, hit the books.
Hit the books, like physically hitting them.
Haha, no, it just means study hard. Exams are next week, so I really need to hit the books this weekend. It's very natural.
Got it. And if you were describing the time you struggled, maybe took on too much.
You could use in over your head.
Meaning?
Meaning you got involved in something that was too difficult or complex for you to handle. I agreed to lead the project, but I quickly realized I was in over my head. Sounds much more relatable than the task exceeded my capabilities.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But crucial point here for everyone listening. You would never use hit the books or in over your head in your Task 2 essay, right?
Absolutely not. That would be a disaster for your score. These are purely for demonstrating conversational fluency and ease in speaking Parts 1 and 2, and for understanding them in listening. Register is key. Hashtag tag 2.2 idioms for social dynamics and behavior.
Okay, what about describing people or social situations? These must come up a lot in speaking Part 2, describing a person you know.
They do. A great one for character description is down to earth.
Meaning practical, sensible, not pretentious.
Exactly. Realistic, practical, easy to talk to. Despite his fame, he's remained very down to earth. It's a really positive description.
Nice. What about negative consequences or responsibility?
Face the music is the key idiom there.
Accepting the unpleasant results of your actions.
Precisely. It often comes up in moral discussions in Part 3. You might talk about corporate responsibility. The company tried to cover up the scandal, but eventually they had to face the music.
Right, accept the consequences. What about avoiding conflict? Maybe old arguments.
Let sleeping dogs lie.
Don't stir up old trouble.
Good for discussing diplomacy, family disagreements, deciding not to bring up a sensitive topic again.
And the opposite, making a big deal out of something small.
That's make a mountain out of a molehill. Excellent for describing someone overreacting in a Part 2 story or discussing reactions to problems in Part 3.
Very useful. And indecisiveness. Someone who can't make up their mind or take a side.
Sit on the fence.
Like literally sitting on a fence, not neither field.
That's the image. It means avoiding commitment or decision. When asked about the controversial proposal, the mayor just sat on the fence. Common, natural, and examiners expect to hear language like this in conversation. Hashtag tag tag 2.3, danger, chance, and communication.
Okay, a few more conversational ones.
Hmm.
What about risk or being in a danger situation?
On thin ice is the one there.
Like you might fall through.
Yeah, it implies a precarious or risky position. Could be about relationships, jobs, academic standing. After missing 3 deadlines, he knew he was on thin ice with his boss. It conveys that sense of immediate danger.
Right. And for luck or hope.
Well, the super common one is keep your fingers crossed. Essential for listening comprehension. You'll hear it all the time in informal chats.
Definitely. How about how information spreads informally?
By word of mouth.
Not through official channels, just people telling people.
Exactly. Explaining how a small restaurant got popular or how news travels in a community. The festival's success spread purely by word of mouth.
Okay, and this next one seems vital for the whole IELTS test, actually. Read between the lines.
Ah, yes, absolutely crucial.
It means understanding the implied meaning, not just the literal words, right?
Precisely. In reading and listening, you often need to do this to get the right answer. Understand what's hinted at, not explicitly stated. But you can also use it actively in speaking part 3. You could discuss cultural differences in communication. In some cultures, communication is very indirect, so you really have to read between the lines to understand the true message.
Shows great analytical skill. Now, what's fascinating here, again, is that social nuance. You mentioned recognizing context. Let's take 2 phrases for telling someone to calm down. Pull yourself together and take it easy. They seem similar.
But the context and tone are worlds apart. This is exactly the kind of subtle distinction that signals C2 level.
So, pull yourself together.
That's quite a strong, almost forceful command. You'd say it to someone who's really upset, maybe crying, panicking, and needs to regain control quickly. It has a sense of urgency.
Right, it's not gentle.
Not at all. Whereas take it easy,
Much more relaxed.
it's much gentler. Yeah. It's used for general relaxation advice, like, you've been working too hard, take it easy, or even as a casual farewell. Or if someone's worrying about something minor.
So, using the wrong one would sound really strange or even inappropriate.
Completely. Imagine telling someone who's mildly stressed about traffic to pull yourself together. It would be odd. Understanding that social weight, that emotional register, is key.
Definitely. And just to quickly round off this conversational section, let's remember a few others. Under the weather.
Feeling slightly ill or sick. Very common.
Your guess is as good as mine.
A fluent way to say, I don't know either.
In the same boat.
Sharing the same difficult situation. Useful in part 3 for connecting personal experience to broader issues.
And get the hang of it.
Learn how to do something after practicing or trying. Perfectly describes that learning process. Yeah, all really useful for sounding natural and fluent.
Okay, final section.
Yeah.
Back to precision, back to formality, but this time focused specifically on writing task 1.
Exactly. Describing charts, graphs, processes. The language here needs to be clinical, accurate, and demonstrate a sophisticated vocabulary for change, stability, and movement.
And task 1 is all about showing vocabulary range, isn't it? Using different ways to say the same thing.
Precisely. Like describing a fall, you need more than just it went down. Let's compare a sharp decline and drop significantly.
Okay, a sharp decline. That's a noun phrase, right? Adjective plus noun.
Yes. The emphasis is on the fall itself, as a kind of unit of change, its speed and magnitude. You'd write, the graph shows a sharp decline in exports after the policy change.
Whereas drop significantly.
That uses a verb modified by an adverb. Here, the emphasis is more on the action of falling and the degree of that fall. Profits dropped significantly in the last quarter.
And the Band 9 candidate needs to use both structures.
Seamlessly. Switching between noun phrases, a significant drop, a slight rise, a period of stability, and verb phrases, fell sharply, increased gradually, remained stable, shows grammatical flexibility and lexical range. It moves you beyond simple verbs.
Got it. Same logic for increases then. Let's contrast a gradual increase and a steady growth.
Similar principle, different nuance. A gradual increase suggests a slow rise, maybe over a long time, perhaps not perfectly consistent. The line is going up, but gently.
Okay. And a steady growth.
Steady implies consistency, reliability. The increase is happening at a more constant rate. If sales went up by roughly 5% every single month, that's steady growth. Describing the quality of the change at speed, its consistency is vital for top marks.
Right. Getting that precision. What about sudden, surprising changes?
For a sudden rise, an unexpected surge, is excellent.
Why unexpected?
Because that adjective adds a layer of interpretation or commentary which is sophisticated. It implies the rise was surprising, maybe due to a specific event not shown on the graph itself. There was an unexpected surge in website traffic following the marketing campaign.
Adds a bit more analytical flavor. Hashtag tag 3.2 idioms for stability and extremes.
Now, for stability and hitting high or low points, the language must be precise for the very highest point on a graph.
The peak.
Exactly. And the most formal and accurate phrase is peak at. Notice the preposition, at. Visitor numbers peaked at 5,000 in August.
Okay. And when a line stops rising or falling and flattens out.
We say it leveled off, or began to level off. Again, note the structure. After a period of rapid growth, investment levels leveled off in the final year.
Got it. And if something just stays the same for a while?
The best formal phrase is remain unchanged. Much better than saying it stayed the same, for example. The unemployment rate remained unchanged for 3 consecutive quarters.
Clear and formal. What about the overall picture, like in the Task 1 introduction or conclusion paragraph where you summarize the main trend?
You need language for general trends. Show a downward trend or showed an upward trend is perfect for describing the overall direction across the whole period, ignoring minor fluctuations. It shows you can see the big picture.
Right, identifying that main movement. And finally, what if the data is all over the place? Very inconsistent.
Instead of just saying it changed a lot, use very considerably.
Very consistent.
Yes. Vary itself suggests inconsistency, and adding an adverb like considerably or significantly quantifies that variation. Monthly rainfall varied considerably throughout the year. It signals a higher level of lexical control than just saying changed.
Right, so what's fascinating here is, well, it's how these Task 1 phrases really move beyond simple verbs.
Exactly. You're using complex noun phrases like a sharp decline, verb phrases with adverbs like increase steadily, and specific verbs like peak and level off. This controlled complexity, using varied structures accurately, is precisely what examiners are looking for. It demonstrates mastery.
Okay, so what does this all mean? We've covered formal idioms, conversational ones, data description phrases. What's the big takeaway?
The core strategy for hitting Band 9 and lexical resource is really about choosing the right tool for the job every single time.
Use those formal, precise idioms for your serious analysis writing task 2, speaking part 3 arguments.
And then switch gears. Use the natural conversational idioms to show fluency and ease in speaking part 1, and make sure you recognize them instantly in listening.
And the biggest mistake is getting those mixed up.
Absolutely. As we said, using hit the books in your essay or a bitter pill to swallow in casual chat, it just shows a lack of control over register. C2 level is fundamentally about that context-appropriate sophistication. The tone must match the task.
Right. Now, people can't just listen to this and magically know how to use them. Practice is essential.
Crucial. Passive knowledge isn't enough. You need active application to move beyond Band 7.
So any specific practice tips?
We suggest something we call the 3-sentence rule. It forces you to think about context.
Okay, how does that work?
Take, say, 5 key idioms from our discussion today. Maybe come full circle, bend over backwards on the brink of down to earth, and vary considerably.
Got it. 5 idioms.
Now, for each of those 5, write 3 different sentences.
3 sentences per idiom.
Okay, sentence number 1. Use the idiom in a formal sentence suitable for a Task 2 essay. Focus on precision, formality. Sentence number 2. Use the same idiom in a natural conversational sentence, like something you'd say in speaking part 1 or 2. Focus on fluency.
Right.
And sentence number 3. Write a sentence imagining where you might hear or read that idiom. This forces you to think about recognizing it passively in listening or reading. What context would it appear in?
I see. So you're practicing production for writing, production for speaking, and recognition. It forces you to wrestle with the meaning, the tone, the grammar.
Exactly. It makes the idiom truly usable, not just something you vaguely recognize. The goal isn't just memorizing definitions, it's integrating these phrases so seamlessly that they become part of your own natural expression.
It's like you said earlier with come full circle. Language itself kind of does that. It starts with rules and definitions.
And through use, through practice, it evolves into these natural, efficient, idiomatic shortcuts. Your journey to mastery is about making that circle complete for yourself.
So learning these specific C2 phrases isn't really the end goal.
No, it's the beginning. It's giving you the high-level tools. The real goal is to use them so naturally, so appropriately, that they sound completely innate.
Make them your own.
That's the path. Use these phrases wisely, Always consider the context. Practice applying them actively.
And you'll definitely raise the bar on your performance.
You will. And hopefully secure that Band 9.
Excellent. That's all for this deep dive. Keep practicing those idioms.
Good luck.
And we'll catch you on the next one.